All right, we are up and going.
Do we have Tom?
That's a good question.
He's texting me right now. I'm having difficulty finding the Zoom link.
I can email it to him if you want. It should be right on the agenda.
What he does now.
Yeah, sure.
That's the rows in the middle. So, the calendar, lots of else. Oh, or just, oh, there's, I don't know if it'll be more. So. the. Yeah, we got an intern from Cole. Sponsor.
I just sent an email, so it may
Yeah.
take a second to go through.
I texted it or emailing it to you or just get started. Okay, great, and we're live, right?
And we are live.
Okay, at 5:07, let's call to order this month's meeting of the Town Manlius Police Committee. The instructions are on the agenda for tuning in live. We here in the room are ready to get started. Chair Paluski is remoting in and is joining us from a remote location. I would ask that we get started with Trustee Peter Hammerstead leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we'll be back to regular duties after August 1st, so this will be our last time having this weekend. And thank you for making the time for it, this is great. All right, next on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our April 24th meeting of this committee. Has everyone had a chance to look at those? Town clerk Rebellion sent them out earlier this week. Everybody go look at the minutes, any comments, issues?
Make a motion?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved. All right, next up, we're back to our standing work here. So has everyone had a chance to review? I know Clerk Rebellion sent out notice of this meeting along with the agenda. And there hadn't been any commentary received on the proposed, thank you, Chief Casati, for the work of producing the job description. No one had any particular edits or suggestions to it as of today. If you would indulge me, I am a language nerd, and so there's nothing consequential in what I would suggest here today. But if this committee would be fine in indulging me with just a little bit of language on the second page, general responsibilities to include but are not limited to the 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet point. I would suggest that we modify that from building relationships with the community to build, foster, and maintain relationships within it. Unless anyone objects to that.
No.
No objections? Okay, Tom, I'm sorry to put you all through this, but I do it with every document I look at. All right, let's see. Second was going down to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, bullet 9 in the same section, general responsibilities. And shoot me down, again, this is our discussion opportunity. So I had a little pause, I thought about adding, Joe, you can tell me to shut up if this is correct, but to collaborate with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, et cetera, I considered within established legal and ethical parameters at all pertinent times.
Which will?
Page 2 under general responsibilities, it's bullet number 9. Okay. So in total, it would read collaborate with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to coordinate joint law enforcement activities and to exchange information pertaining to criminal incidents and investigations within established legal and ethical parameters at all pertinent times.
Legal and ethical?
Yep. Unless somebody says that's no good.
I'm not opposed to it, I think it's implied in the oath that she takes to carry that out in all the duties.
So where my mind, where this derives from is not, HIPAA and then the education law version. Enforce those obligations.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you.
So, yeah, the AC's on, let's leave it on as long as we can get away with it. We're happy. Tom, if you can hear us, we'd love to leave the AC on.
William, repeat that, please.
The bullet point proposed, sure, collaborate with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to coordinate joint law enforcement activities and to exchange information pertaining to criminal incidents and investigations. And I'm suggesting adding within established legal ethical parameters at all pertinent times.
Is there one set of ethical parameters that our chief would need, would have to adhere to?
Like
Or,
to cover all.
so what,
Code of ethics that exists.
code of ethics in the town's code of ethics?
We do have a code of ethics within the town.
We do.
So, and there probably are, and there are New York State ethical rules that public officers have to comply with as well. If you want to specify those sections of the law, we could, but
I would prefer not to.
it's understood because those are gonna change, those are gonna change at any time, so.
So it sounds to me, what I'm hearing then is that we could wrestle with the choice of established instead within applicable. Or, I don't know, tell me, this isn't my topic.
The organization also subscribes to ethical standards that are derived from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. That are widely accepted for useful policing. So that's a whole nother layer too, when you talk about ethical standards. So the agency has one that they subscribe to that's more specific to the profession. The town has one specific, then it's the girls.
So, again, we're here to revise as needed, but that was my rationale behind the clause that I generated, that within the established legal and ethical parameters at all pertinent times. So does that capture what everybody wants?
When I add the word applicable, I think that's, okay. So.
Within applicable,
Within established applicable legal and ethical parameters.
I'm sorry, there's one more, and this is literally a one-word addition. So page 1, competitive candidates will possess the following attributes. Bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is really just a matter of opinion here, but I wanted to add the word serve. So ability to attract, support, and retain a diverse staff that reflects the community served. Yep.
Why do you want to add that?
Yes,
Okay, and then after community, you wanted it to say,
the community served. Yes. Say yes or no. Because people use the term community to represent different things. People view themselves as members of different communities and sub-communities. And I want this to reflect the responsibilities to the community that this job is addressing.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say that when we talk about it, just diverse staff reflecting the community, I don't necessarily know that doesn't read as kind of, I'll just use race as one aspect of that. And that, if our community does not necessarily reflect the diversity of race or Hispanic or whatever, are then saying that that's what we wanted to? If not that we would be open to? Having a police force that may be more broadly diverse than our community.
This is where it gets into semantics for me, because again, community is defined differently by different people from that point of view, and this is, I see what you're saying.
I can appreciate why you want to put that on there. But I'm totally not a fan of ambiguity, and I don't think it's ambiguous, but I don't like over defining things, and I think we're charged to provide policing services and hire a chief that follows, what the town sees as their duties and responsibilities. And we're charged to do that only in our community. And I think, again, like, I think it's implied, safely implied, where you don't have to go too far, but again, if everybody's okay with it, I don't mind saying serve. I don't know, I feel like it may be unnecessary to say serve, because there's serving is what.
Yeah, if we're splitting hairs, let's move on. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable with served.
How about you, Tom?
I fine with what William wanted to do, but I'm also fine with not. So I'm fine either way.
What's you, Bobby? I'm fine either way. Yeah, again, it was an idea. I'm kind of ambivalent in the end. It's not the, yeah, we can drop it. Anybody else have, now that we're sitting here together talking about it, any other ideas percolate up on the job description, or do you think we can close the book and move forward with this document with its changes after this meeting?
No, I was pretty happy with what's here, so.
Okay, and then can you run it by them again? You guys meet on Monday, right?
No, we actually can't start.
I'm glad you told me, I was gonna show up.
All right, the sign. I'm gonna text you now when I'm driving through there and see it on their sign.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Village of Fayetteville Board really wanted the clarification that Attorney Pateshi sent today. And just in terms of it having to be communication from you to the board, I would appreciate that memo maybe. Is that okay? Basically what you said.
I can give an opinion to this board, I don't feel comfortable giving an opinion to the village.
Okay.
But you can certainly share
Okay.
an opinion to this board.
Okay, so I share that email.
Well, if you want it as a formal letter to this board, I can do it as that, or we can share my email. That's fine as well, it's up to you.
I think I would like it in the form that isn't the email.
Okay.
So they have it for both records and they can keep it, we can keep it that way in terms of, this is what we approved at this point in time.
Yeah, I can.
It may be a fine point, but I'm very new and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to do things, so.
No, I can give an opinion to this board to the effect that I gave an email, that's
Okay.
fine, and then you can share that if you want, but I just can't give that opinion directly to the village. It's,
Okay.
so.
Tom, can you hear what's being said?
Repeat that, please.
Yeah, I asked, could you hear what's being said in the room? And it sounds like not. So trustee.
No, I can. I heard Heather.
Okay.
I'm Casey, by the way, Casey Cleary Hammerstead, and I don't know that we've met, but, so you know.
Oh, I thought you. On Zoom
We
last
have
time.
not, and I apologize.
Okay. I can't possibly interpret Heather or impersonate Heather is what I mean. So our board was interested in the clarification on civil service, so that was a point of conversation that's why I'm saying I just want to make that as explicitly clear as possible. And they don't want to sign off final approval until they see any changes that might have come from the other villages and the rest of the committee.
On the job description itself. Because this
But
board
they
has
were
no sway
before-
on civil service process.
They thought it was a very good job description, but to say, yes, we think this is great, but not knowing what any changes would be, that's what they asked me to bring back. The final version.
Okay.
That would come from this committee, I guess.
Yeah, we can, in a reasonable time frame, make the little minor edits to this, run it through everybody here, just an email, right? Everybody's good with it, and then it's shareable with the villages, no problem.
If you could share with me your notes, and if the chief's okay, I can make those changes first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so,
And get that out there to you guys, if you got your notes written down, William,
oh yeah,
and then I figured you did. I'll make sure I'll have that on the top of my to-do list tomorrow morning to get that out for you all to review.
okay. Right, thank you, everybody, for, obviously taking the time of looking at it previous to this meeting, so that we're here without a whole lot to wrestle over. And thank you, again, you produced it, so. And so, Joe, I know we had discussed at the last meeting, so, basically, to the village. We had established at the last meeting that we have the ability to create a description like this, provided that we meet the minimum standard of civil service requirement for the position, which we knew this already met that bar. So if your village board didn't know that, you can let them know that not only did, as it existed, did it meet that threshold, but so too will it with these minor edits we're making. Now,
It was because of it's also reflected in the minutes that Attorney Protection was going to do that.
yeah.
So, and in my report out to them, I conveyed that.
So the other, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as of Monday afternoon, there was no test results. No list.
I don't believe so.
Okay. So we know a number of candidates have tested, or number of otherwise qualified folks have tested, and we're still just waiting for that test result to come in. It's that list, but as of Monday afternoon, that's the last time I checked.
The chief's list?
Yes. Not yet posted.
You know, if there's anyone from within the department that took the test, or?
There's 5.
So wish everybody the best, Yeah, we're gonna have, so once that list is released as soon as possible, we need to start our process here of evaluating candidates and interviewing and going through our process and having this document completed. I'm glad I say we have this before the list is out, and we're not having to try and do 2 things at once without an actual, litmus for ourselves.
Excuse me, could you just explain, the process that we were talking about? Because speed on the fact that we would immediately go into a hiring process, or the town would?
So, right, Joe, do you know on this? So the status of Jason in his post right now is still provisional, correct? That's the term, provisional.
Yeah, there's only and I don't know the specific time frame within which, you can notate the chief. There's only a limited time frame that you can have a provisional chief, at which point you have to appoint somebody on a more permanent basis. So I think it went 9 months.
9 months is a provisional appointment in any title,
Okay.
but there's no teeth to it because obviously you have to have a test and all that. People end up provisional for a lot longer, but usually after the test is established, you have to start moving forward with the hiring process. The list has been established, certified and established. You have to start moving forward with the hiring process as soon as practical.
Demonstrate compliance with civil service.
My experience has been that there's a lot of flexibility as long as the municipality is moving towards filling the role on a permanent basis. However, I would recommend to the Commissioner of Personnel from another county to seek clarification. That's Mr. Carl Holman. And we could ask that question directly, because I think as the head of personnel, he's also the civil service.
He is.
Commissioner, right?
Yeah.
If I get this wrong. And as such, really the end all be all of the answers that we're seeking. For him to also realize that there is a process going on right here, and all we're waiting for right now is the list of orders. So the process to continue.
Yeah, so essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, what we would be requesting or what we would be running by the civil service commissioner is perhaps an extension of that 9-month work showing process.
I would ask the question, like, what is there?
What do we do next?
What do we do next?
Yeah.
Like, here's where we are, the test isn't out yet. The test is between 90 and 120 days, that the state tells you that right up front. It's been like over 90.
Yeah.
So, what would he, as the civil service commissioner, expect us to do to ensure that we are within the parameters of the law, the intent of the laws, and past practice? Would you?
Yeah, it's, you know, in my other world, dealing with civil service all the time, it's a good way to go. Just gonna tell us, just do what you do, and when you're ready, just let us know and we'll move through. So it's probably what I expected to say, but we give you more guidance. You don't have to request, they know, because the list isn't established yet, right? So the time ticks, it's written in civil service laws 9 months, but you really have as much time as you need.
If you can demonstrate due diligence for the
Yeah,
process.
and but after the list is certified, they want to see that you're moving. So just to get that, you know, officially from the commissioner would make good sense, like the chief said.
Commissioners is very knowledgeable, and just having guidance on the process, I think would just make us that much stronger in the next.
I'm looking at you. Would you mind making that call? Thanks, Mike. Tom, you good with that too? You good with that approach? Just getting a little bit of an opinion from the Civil Service Commissioner?
I am, thank you.
Okay. Again, thank you for everybody's work on this. I think we can move on from the job description portion of our day, right? I think do we need to discuss the budget calendar? Does anybody have any questions on that? I know we left it in April with the villages would talk to their boards about any particular outstanding questions or concerns about the budget preparation. And I don't know if there were any maybe too premature for that. Nothing from Manila. Anything from Manlius, Tom?
No, we're good.
All right, strike that from the list. So the next item, so member roles and responsibilities, if you don't mind indulging me, I know we brought this up just sort of in conversation before, but I would like this committee to kind of make a decision on whether or not to do what I think is a good idea, which is to contact the superintendents from ESM and from FM and ask if they would consider appointing somebody to this committee.
That sounds like it makes a great deal of sense.
I think it's something to go back to, they'll just talk about.
Right, yeah, like, we don't have to decide tonight, but,
So that would mean, changing the intermunicipal agreement?
no, this committee is empowered to establish its composition and procedures as it sees fit for the IMA, so we can invite really anybody who has an opinion we think would be valued.
Okay.
To the committee without adjusting the agreement.
Okay.
I personally think it's a viewpoint that is probably very useful, not only to this committee, but also perhaps for you. I mean, just having, the amount of TMPD that is allocated to school districts, again, for good reason. And I know the districts are very happy about that. But I think just as a courtesy, it would be a good thing for them to be able to at least participate in this committee.
I agree.
And
To what extent, though,
so much in the same way that the villages are, this is a vehicle for the villages and their governments to engage with, forgive me for saying it this way, with the town's police department, right? And so do, schools, the school districts and their boards have an agreement, have engagement with the town's police department. Have an opportunity to weigh in on that as a policy and all the other things that this committee is powered to.
so they would offer opinion,
They would,
but nothing more, right?
yeah. That's a great point.
Because I don't feel it's appropriate for them to vote.
No, that's not, yeah, right.
Okay, so yes,
Welcome as needed from the school district.
Right.
Something.
This is why I love a committee, because my language is not saying the thing I want to get at, but you just said it exactly to sort of provide input and to, yeah, that, exactly.
Helps me because it did clarify that we applied numbers in municipal agreements, so that's why I got stumped. So now if it's not exactly, the
Right.
Voting role, then it makes great sense.
Feel like we could always engage them if we needed to make a decision and then get their opinion versus hear the dialogue and everything. It makes sense because then they can give it to us in real time. We might be able to make decisions more efficiently, but as far as being a voting body, I would comfortable with that.
Right, thank you. It's more of an invitation to, in a different sense, I mean, attorney is not a voting member either, right, you know, but because the point of the committee is different. Thank you for helping tease that out. So, okay, so, Tom, are you good with what just percolated up here? Run it by your board, you know, if they would have, and if there would be any objection to, let me get this right, inviting or engaging with the ESM and FM school district superintendent for consideration of appointing an attendee to a non-voting representative to this police committee.
Absolutely. It's a good idea.
So we'll put that on for follow-up in August, at our August meeting. Okay, great. And then next thing you know, it'll be school time again. Finally. So that takes us to, sir.
Thank you, Counselor, I appreciate it. Thank you to the police committee for all your efforts and I appreciate that very much as we're continuing to move forward. As an organization, we're seeing a substantial amount of additional police actions this year in our quarterly and then beyond reports. We're waiting for our second quarters. We're taking a look at last year we had over 23,000 police actions, and this year we're on track for over 30. So when looking at we're keeping track because that has impacted. We also not only look at the numbers, but we have to qualify what that information is. A lot. What are we doing more of? What are we getting more of? We saw substantial changes in policing, the use of policing through COVID, numbers dwindling, and some of those numbers are re-engaging and increasing significantly. So we're taking a look at what those numbers mean and how they'll impact our mission set and our ability to continue to provide the service that we provide to the community at the level of which our community expects. To start off with a couple of things, relative to that, we have recently offered conditional employment to a police officer transfer candidate. That candidate is we're waiting the details of start date as they exit their organization. So we're waiting for a moment to go public until they have an opportunity to speak with their employer. But we're very excited, did very well in the selection process, and our selection process, as I've said to you before, is a very involved process. So we're excited for that. As a transfer candidate, that means they are already a full-time police officer from another municipality. So we get the benefit of that experience in that training. But at the same time, we're also very thoughtful of ensuring that the culture that we have is connected to the foundations of the individual. Because we also don't want to candidates that come here that don't connect with the foundation of how we do business, the culture in which that we do, because as I've said here, I've said to my own people, constantly is that that's what our culture is, what sets us apart. And what is so valuable to us at the end of the day. So we're very excited, and that will also give us the opportunity to start that individual on-field training within early mid-July, and progress through a process that will allow us to have an educated police officer on the road fairly quickly. That will give us use of that police officer at a time in which that we're mandated overtime to accomplish these things. Not only, and it's not just a financial piece, it's also a people piece. So understanding that's also part of what we do, and that's an expectation of our police officers, of public safety, public servant personnel. But if hopefully we're able to attract the right candidates, bring them in, and to be able to get on point and have those personnel able to manage our mission, which will also allow our organization to be better for it. After this selection, we'll be at 38 sworn members, and we'll have 2 openings for police officers. We have right now actually conducted 3 additional transfer candidate interviews today, panel interviews today, where 2 of them are moving forward in the process, and we have 2 more that are scheduled for the week after next. So we'll see where those candidates go towards filling those slots, and at the same time, we have 2 that are being background, 2 candidates that are recruit candidates, basic recruit candidates, which are not certified police officers, but would be required to go to the police academy. There is a police academy set in the North Country starting in September. We're looking at any other options that are available to us that would provide the academy setting we feel would best train our people, and at the same time be not only effective but efficient with the dollar. So staying tuned to what's happening around us. So depending on where we go, we'll have more conversations, and I'll have more opportunities to fill you in as time goes on. We have 2 new special patrol officer candidates in the selection process for FM schools. Both of these positions are positions in which that were once filled but are open. And so these 2 are in the process. We have one that actually we will be meeting with tomorrow to discuss a conditional offer as they were going through the selection process. They are still working full time. And we have a second one that's in the process who's recently retired officer for another agency too. So both of them are not retirees from the Manlius Police Department, but they're retirees from municipal police departments that are town and village. And these positions are for the fall. So SPOs come in and assist throughout the rest of the year and then have the summers off. So today was their last day. They were turning in some equipment today for SPOs. And so these 2 that we're going through the process for, we will end up selecting and appointing, and then we will identify when they will start, because they will be required to go through some additional training before we place them in schools, juvenile officer school and things, and that's towards the mid to end of August, early December. So that's when they'll get on board and then be attached to their 2 schools in the FM schools. We interviewed a candidate also for our part-time community service officer position, which was exciting. You know, the CSO's position, our thought process about being able to hire a part-time civilian personnel that can help us in a number of things in which that maybe can take some of the responsibilities away from some of our sworn members so that they can focus on the things that require their sworn status and their training and the things that they're, that they do, and be able to manage some of those things outside of that. And she's moving along in the process, and very good. We're in the planning and preparation phase for our upcoming 2024 Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies onsite. This is a very involved and detailed process that we have been involved in with CALEA as an accredited agency since, well, when I started, I was, while I was waiting to go to the academy, I was assigned to a group that was doing a lot of the written directive build out. So this goes back to the we first received international accreditation from CALEA in 1996. CALEA was brought forward as a way in which that took 3 very different village police departments, different cultures, different levels of professionalism. And through our chief and command staff, which one is in the audience, yes, very happy he's here, was seen as a way to be the tie that bind us together and increase our professionalism, and it has done just that. We are one of very few agencies, a handful of agencies that have been able to not only receive it but maintain it, and we use it as a blueprint for management of a law enforcement organization that deals in high liability, high frequency, high liability, low frequency events. It sets the tone in the manner in which we execute. And it also dictates and assists us on every aspect of the decision process that we do. So CALEA evaluates a quarter of our written directives every year for 4 years. And at the end of that 4-year cycle, they send a team leader in, and they come to see us, to visit us. Usually it's 3 or 4 days, depending. And there's 4 to 6 different areas in which that are called focus areas that they will spend time identifying what we do and how that connects with our community, what that does with the standards, how we do well. They look at outcomes. And they also help us pursue excellence. This is what this whole process is about. If we're not pursuing excellence, then what are we doing in the business? And so that is a large part of participating in a process like this. So they'll be taking that deep dive into those outcomes. We will be having a discussion. When I say we, myself, my command staff, we're starting the meetings now with our accreditation. We actually have a contract person that works for us to assist us with accreditation. And we will be having the discussions about what those categories will be. And I will be looking to, we'll be looking not only on the things in which that we do well, I'll be asking them for the areas in which that all law enforcement agencies are from, and some of best practice, best policy that they can bring us from around the country and internationally. So we're very excited as we start and very focused. We talked a little bit about before administrative crime analysis products and how we're testing a number of those. Additionally, we're also looking to bring as close to real-time analysis to our budgeting processes within our own organization. And I'll be working to integrate those processes and those tools within our weekly staff meetings. I have staff meetings regularly during the week. And they've been very fluid and need dependent, but we meet as a command staff regularly. But what we're going to do is we're going to evolve a little bit, because I think it's time for us to do this. Is that we will be featuring different avenues and different pieces of the organizational structure to come in and have a conversation with commanders at different days. So maybe we might, we have 4th of July coming. So we might be having a meeting where the supervisor that built the plans, the special orders, the operational plans, which we manage, for the celebration in the morning and the fireworks at night, and then also the parade in the evening, to come in and discuss the parameters of something like that. Tuesday, and I'm speaking hypotheticals, I haven't made up my mind on how old it's gonna go. Tuesday, we may have a presentation from another part of the agency. Wednesdays may be about budget. Thursdays may be something different. So these 20-minute, high value discussions that we get just a better imprint on what is occurring within our organization. Because remember, we are going 24/7 a day. We don't shut the doors, the cars don't stop. So making sure that we have as real-time information as possible is key for me and my command staff and supervisory staff to be able to be the best we can make decisions. We identified a team from throughout the organization to provide a full staff inspection of the entire agency. This is a big project. I'm happy to say that, the members were selected from different areas at different ranks, civilians, sworn alike, all different areas of responsibility. I gave the responsibility to Captain Stanton. I have a draft report that I have reviewed, and we are working on some of those pieces right now. It's prepared in under review, and we'll do a review process and a discussion on what it shows, recommendations made, and it includes everything from personnel, process, physical plan, logistics, you name it, it's in there, and helps guide us. It'll also help guide us with expenditures, and budget, helping us be a little bit more efficient and effective. Do you see most agencies conduct staff inspections? I can tell you they do not. Why do we do it? It's a requirement under international organization. It forces us to work within ourselves, ask the questions, and then be able to evaluate the answers, and then not only evaluate the answers, but then seek recommendations. And then those inputs should help me as your department head then prioritize and decide where we go. So that's on the way. I will tell you that I have been here now for 13 or 14 months. 13. I'm sorry, it's gone very quickly. We are at a stage as an organization where we have great cooperation between our management and our members of our organization. We have, where we once had no contract, we have an employment contract. We have a budget that reflects our needs of the community, that we're working very hard to ensure that we get and utilize every dollar as efficiently as we possibly can. This is a large discussion we have constantly. We are now in an area in which for the first time in modern TMP history, we have a waiting list of people that want to join us. As we continue to progress, even though I realize I'm your provisional chief, it is time to continue to move forward. I don't sit in a space idly. When I own the space, I own it. We're moving forward. We need to do some reorganization. So right now, inside the organization, I am working with our captains and our lieutenant on reorganizing, structuring how we, as an organization, are governed, and who is responsible for what, and what's the difference between a position that's a person and what's a function, and how we will assign those responsibilities. And this is not something in which that we do it and it's permanent. An organizational chart, an organization itself is living and breathing, just like the people in which that provide all of those services within it. And what I see is that we are in need of turning the corner to focus on areas which that are ones that I believe are most important. So, and much of that has to do with solvability, ensuring that when folks call 911 and they are a victim of a crime, that the town of Manlius Police Department responds to 99% of those calls in this community, in our community. That more chances than not, it will be something. And that confidence level is necessary, and it is an expectation of our citizens, and it's an expectation of your chief. So what are we doing to ensure that that is the focus of what we do? 90% of our organization is operationally built, and we're going to focus on that mission, on the operational side, in order to be as efficient but as effective as we possibly can. And we have to change. When you have an organization that's full of people with 15 to 18-year veterans versus an organization that has police officers with an average age of 23 to 25 years old, there's a difference in what we need to do. There's a difference in where we need to put our resources. There was a time in which that we didn't necessarily need supervisors as much. Now there's a time we need significant more resources. Those supervisors are also young. So if the supervisors are young, where do our commanders need to be? Monday to Friday, 8 to 4? No. That's why we've been working nights. You've seen, I've had captains on the radio, 10 o'clock at night, calling out, arriving on scene. So if you listen to the radio, you'll hear, our command staff fully engaging and fully involved with, at the end of the day, what our service delivery, at the end of the day, what it truly means. What did we do on that call? How did we connect? How did we not connect? Was there an issue when we did connect? Is it a communication problem? Is it a process problem? It's an education problem, training problem. What do we need to do to ensure that our citizens get the best from us every single day? So that reorganization is taking form in concept right now. And I've worked with all three of my commanders, and we are, I have a draft organizational chart that I'll be meeting with them coming up. We'll be discussing what that looks like, and I'll be penning in a date for us to start making some moves. I think that we can be as effective as possible. And these things can't wait. It's got to happen this summer. I want to do it before we get back into the school year with the SBOs, the SIROs. There's questions, things in which that we have to face on where we have to apply attention to our focus. So this is also another exciting time, but change is also scary. So we have to make sure that we're very thoughtful about the process, and we're very engaging with our staff so that they understand the whys of what we do. So important. Communication with staff is so important because close my door, not have me around, that agency is going to grow. Our members will continue to do their business and do it well. It's not me. We have to be as effective as we possibly can. That's not. That's what we're having. 4th of July, we talked about our operational orders are out. Because they are police sensitive, I don't distribute them, but I have copies if you'd like to see them, to take a look at, just so you, I would love for you just to see briefly the focus that goes into the things in which that, that we do in order to ensure the safety and security, but coupled with the fact that we don't want to over-police. Over-policing is not something in which I subscribe to. To be perfectly frank, minimums are what I like, and how we help our community enjoy, celebrations such as this, but do it in a way that we're prepared also to face with the possible realities of difficult situations. So love for you to take a look at that. And outside of that, I think everything else can wait. I'm open to any questions or concerns that anybody can have.
When we spoke recently, you talked about the biggest thing that you get in accreditation is related to the facility. So how big of a thing is it?
So it doesn't affect whether or not we get accredited at this point, because we have worked diligently over the years to work to overcome it. I can't say it won't affect us this time around because of the amount of external storage that we've had to go to, where the ability to, get into, to somehow connect and touch is significantly higher than having it within a structure that has alarms and stuff. We use cameras, we use fencing, we do things in which that, to, as much as we can do.
So the last time around, you weren't in that kind of situation?
So we,
Like 7 stories?
no, we have been,
Okay.
but we have to explain it. And we have to explain it, and frankly, the problems with our building have been a topic of our reports as far back as I can remember. That bring that up. They have. There is, something in which that, I have reports that have said in the past when Cody has come in that this should be a focus. We have the discussions with the on-site folks coming in. They also understand that we have what we have and we're gonna do the best we can. So when they look at it, they're not only looking at usable space, but they're saying, what they'll see is that we have done everything we can do to ensure this, to include cleanliness and just the way in which that we operate within there. Again, 24/7 buildings. We don't shut the lights off, we don't close the doors. These buildings are going all the time, always have a footprint. So.
I think I probably want to look at an old one, just so I can get a sense of what it is. Yeah, thanks.
So Casey, was that, I had you written you down for under other business, was that?
Well, it's a good transition, and
Thank you, Chief. Under other business.
well, as part of my orientation to these responsibilities, I've had tremendous experiences in just 14 weeks between the banquet and most recently the tour. The chief spent a good amount of time with me, taking me through every tiny little warren of the facility. And though I had, as a citizen, heard about how bad the facility was, I am shocked at how bad it is. And I feel the need to communicate that to people I represent as a trustee and to the village, because this is a decision point. And I was kind of curious as to why we are not necessarily discussing that in this forum as a police committee when we have our 3 village residents here, representatives here, because it seems to me that when I look at the intermunicipal agreement, there are many areas in which the what our role is as 4 municipalities in terms of supporting the police department would call for us to question what exists and to be behind improvements happening as soon as possible. So I know that I feel like that is part of what I need to do based on the tour. So I don't know, Bobby and Tom, if you have done tours or if you've done them recently, because the problems continue to get worse, especially in terms of storage. But it seems like we need to kind of address that here. So I'm putting that out as an open, discussion topic. And I wish you were here, Tom, because getting behind the idea that we can no longer kick the can down the road for the police department, I think is an important thing that we need to take back to our villages and have that discussion about, rather than, leave it to the town to move the town board to move forward with, convincing the public about it. I personally feel that I need to take a stand, not only as a citizen, but as a representative of people today, Bill, that I think they would be shocked, really shocked at how badly the working conditions are and how we are so far off the mark on OSHA standards and ADA compliance and storage. It's disgraceful. And I don't know if this committee will do that, or if this is just something I need to take on as Casey the citizen and Casey the trustee. So kind of tossing that out a little bit to the villages, but anybody can respond.
As a member of this committee, I wholeheartedly agree. The level of expectation that we put upon this department to perform at ever escalating and increasing expectations of the public in a facility that has not moved since it was adopted from middle school in the 80s is somewhat appalling. And so I wholeheartedly agree. I'm one member of this committee. You certainly have my agreement that this is something, if we were to choose to provide an opinion on that subject as a committee, I'm more than happy to put my name to it.
I echo those sentiments, and I see real value in the villages coming forward on the, campaign to get a building that's appropriate for the department that we house, and that facilities that the people who carry out these missions day in and day out deserve to be in. And frankly, a facility that the public deserves to come to interact with their police department.
Year after year, our public demonstrates and tells us both overtly and, just through other means, that this is one of the most important services that they feel they get for their dollar here in this community. And so I guess it just makes logical sense that an investment would properly be made in the department in that realm, so.
If you're not something, look at money the town spent in 40-some years in rent to the village, we're gonna build that one all.
And investments in HVAC in the facility that are not accomplishing what needs to be accomplished. From what I understand, this is not an extensive tour. I don't live and work there. I think the police department has been very polite in terms of talking about how difficult those working conditions are. And I think very much as a community value our police department, but somehow we need to convey to them, and I think more broadly, as more elected officials convey to them, that this is a really big amount of money that we're talking about. And my mother-in-law, I think I'm gonna say this later, my mother-in-law says people have money for what they want money for. And somehow we have these budgets, and in combination, our taxpayers are saying, ouch, this is too much, you can't keep raising my assessments and taking more out of my pocket. So this is not a great climate for asking them to go on a path that's going to be, tens of millions of dollars. And if we leave it up to just the town board to convey that message to the public, I don't think that that's fair, because I think all of the villages promised back in 1985 that they would provide what the departments needed. So, Tom, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I sort of feel, I don't want to say blindsided, but sort of blindsided. If the town PD was very unhappy with how we are hosting the police department, I haven't heard it. For years, we heard about air conditioning not working, but we had a tremendous investment on nearly $2 million in upgrading electrical system, air conditioning, heating, and everything else. Yeah, it is a converted elementary school. We all know that. But I would love for this conversation to continue, because I feel like if we're not being good hosts to our beloved police department, I would want to intervene on that. So I'd love to have a conversation with Chief and continue the conversation with you all.
Thank you, Tom, for that. Thank you.
So then, do we add that to an agenda? What is, the best process for doing that. Tom, I would highly recommend you go on a tour, as I don't know where you are or when you come back, but, there are lots of reports. The 2018 report details many of the problems. They've only gotten worse since 2018. And you can't really get the magnitude of it until you see it. And until you walk through that little warren of things and you see a toilet that comes up to here, that is shared by men and women. You know, you see stuff like that, you see an evidence room that's stacked to the ceiling with not an inch between anything, and you recognize this just can't be like this. And we have these wonderful vehicles that we don't have space to maintain. I mean, it just goes on. There's a lot of detail in the report for 2018, and I would recommend that you look at that as well. Anyhow, I fear we are running out of time.
May I make a quick comment and thank you, and as trustee stated, he used the term not good host. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
That's not, that's the farthest thing from that. I have appreciated very much the relationships that I have with the village of Manlius. The fact the building is not adequate is not new. It's about size, it's about how the organization has matured over the 40 years of its existence. These are things in which that are not easily able to be rectified. The village has been very good hosts. They have worked diligently to try to correct the things over time that have presented themselves, but unfortunately, the things that need correction are the things that can't be corrected. And so I hope that, you know, he understands that, and the village elected understand that I, as chief of police, are not standing there from a mountaintop screaming that they're a bad host. I don't say that at all. Actually, I appreciate all that they do. We just say that what we have just doesn't work.
I also
Thank
didn't mean to criticize the village of Manlius.
Well, Tom, if you don't mind, our room is filling up here for the next meeting, and I think we've exceeded our time allowed. If I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.